So today we're talking about weather, and we're going to start off with what is the difference between weather and climate. So weather, the definition of weather is the state of the atmosphere at a place and time as regards heat, dryness, sunshine, wind, rain, etc. So weather is what is happening right now versus climate. When we think of climate, it's the weather conditions prevailing in an area in general over a long period of time, right? So this right here is the key between weather and climate. Climate is weather over a long period of time. Weather is just what is happening right now. So like if you looked outside right now, right now as I'm recording this, it's dark outside, but let's say it was bright and sunny outside. The weather is clear skies, sunny, 40 degrees, et cetera, right? That is the weather. The climate, right? Our climate in Michigan is temperate, right? We live in a temperate zone. We live in a temperate climate. We live in a climate that has 4 different seasons because in the summer, it's going to be a lot warmer than it is in the winter, right? We get snow, we get rainstorms, right? We experience all 4 types of seasons, right? Summer, fall, winter, and spring. And we experience all those, right? That is our climate. That's our weather conditions over a long period of time. Okay, so weather is now, climate is all of the weather that we have over an extended period of time. Okay, make sure that you understand that. Right? That is a key difference in weather. All right, so extreme weather, I'm going to have you guys watch this one on your own. I think this is a really good video that just kind of introduces what extreme weather is. And so go ahead and watch that on your own. Michigan extreme weather, the types of extreme weather that we experience here in Michigan, okay, they're thunderstorms, which involve lightning storms and tornadoes, right? These two both are within thunderstorms. We'll talk about that in a little bit. There's the lake effect snow, there's blizzards, there's droughts. And then weather that we hear about a lot on the news, right, would be hurricanes and dust storms. So we experience these 4, and then these 2 are just experienced in the United States on a fairly regular basis. So thunderstorms, a thunderstorm, the definition is a storm with thunder and lightning and typically also heavy rain or hail. So basically what happens is you get this cold front that comes in, but this warm pocket of air sits on the ground and this cold air comes over top of it. And when it does that, it traps this warm air underneath, and cold air being more dense wants to go towards the surface of the earth. Warm air being less dense wants to rise. And so you end up getting this really interesting system where this warm, hot, moist air is almost forced up into the atmosphere. And as it does that, these massive clouds start to build, right? And these are thunderheads, okay? These clouds that form this type of shape, okay? These would be thunderheads, cumulonimbus clouds, right? These are the thunderstorm type. These are the thunderstorm type clouds. Okay, and so they sweep in all of this really warm, moist air. Well, when warm, moist air is forced upwards in the atmosphere, it cools very rapidly. And so as it rapidly cools, it condenses very quickly, and it condenses into raindrops. And these raindrops then, after a while, become so heavy that it just starts to downpour. And that's where we get that massive amount of rain coming from thunderstorms. And this just continues and continues and continues. So that's why lines of thunderstorms can be seen, and we can get thunderstorms that they might have started in Iowa or Kansas or the Dakotas, right? Those thunderstorms started all the way out there, and they just came all the way to Michigan, right? They just keep pulling in all that warm, moist air and releasing it as rain. So thunderstorms are very, very, very interesting. Lightning, this is just the occurrence of a natural electrical discharge of very short duration and high voltage between a cloud and the ground or within a cloud, accompanied by a bright flash and typically also thunder. And this is just a picture of how lightning how lightning starts to where it finishes. And it's just kind of a very quick time lapse. I mean, this all happens within a fraction of a second. Just very interesting. Tornadoes. A tornado is a mobile, destructive vortex of violently rotating winds having the appearance of a funnel-shaped cloud and advancing beneath a large storm system. So, in order to get a tornado, we have to have a thunderstorm. Okay, you have to have a thunderstorm. And again, you gotta remember back to our thunderstorm where it's pulling in all that warm, moist air. Okay, and so that's happening right here. Okay, that warm, moist air is being pulled in. It's being taken all the way up to the top. But as it's doing that, there's also a crosswind happening. And when you get these crosswinds is where you get air starting to circulate. And anytime air starts to circulate, you have the potential for a tornado, especially the faster that air is moving as it's circulating, the closer to getting a tornado you become. And so now we've got this tornado that's formed underneath this thunderstorm because of this violently rotating wind. All right? You have to have thunderstorms in order to get tornadoes. Lake effect snow. Lake effect snow happens anytime there's a large open body of water. The ocean, basically any of the oceans in cooler climates, and then obviously the Great Lakes that we have around us. Okay, the Great Lakes, if they don't freeze in the winter, generally, if the Great Lakes don't freeze in the winter, we are going to get a lot of snow here in Michigan because this would be the Wisconsin side of Lake Michigan. This would be the Michigan side of Lake Michigan. All that wind is coming from the Wisconsin side, and so as it comes across the lake, if there's not ice, it's going to pick up a whole bunch of moisture as it comes across, and we're just going to get a lot of snow. So the warmer the lake is in the summer, the more likely it is that we're going to get lots of snow in the winter. Blizzards. Blizzards are just a severe snowstorm with high winds and low visibility. A blizzard is a snowstorm. I think it's with 30-mile-an-hour winds. So as soon as you get a snowstorm, like say lake effect snow, let's say we get lake effect snow that comes across the lake, and now all of a sudden the winds pick up and it's 30-mile-an-hour winds or faster. Now we're in a blizzard. Even though it's lake effect snow causing the snow, we're still in a blizzard because the wind is really, really, really fast. Think about 2 years ago when that polar vortex came through and it landed right on Michigan, and we got like 3 feet of snow in like a week. And like every school canceled for 2 weeks and all that stuff, right? That was lake effect snow because that polar vortex was extremely cold wind, right? That came right across Lake Superior and then Lake Michigan and just hit West Michigan with a bunch of snow. Okay, but then the winds picked up, and now we've got ourselves a blizzard. And I think we had a blizzard. I think we had technical blizzard conditions for like 4 days during those 2 weeks off, or at least that week off if you had a week off. Okay, so blizzards, just a snowstorm with high winds. A drought is just a prolonged period of abnormally low rainfall leading to a shortage of water. Anytime there is really dry conditions and just a shortage of water, right? We do experience this in Michigan. There are times we experience droughts. Not very often. It doesn't happen for super prolonged periods of time, but we can experience droughts. It's very common in the southern part of the United States and the western part of the United States, Colorado, Wyoming, right? All those places that they're experiencing wildfires right now, right? They're experiencing a lot of droughts, but we can experience droughts in Michigan. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen very often. A dust storm is a strong turbulent wind which carries clouds of fine dust, soil, and sand over a large area. Dust storms take advantage of droughts. what's happening right now in California and Colorado and a lot of those western states where these wildfires is those wildfires are clearing out all these trees. And so now what you're left with is a whole bunch of loose soil that's not being held down by the roots of all these trees. And so when you get really big winds coming through, that wind can just pick that dirt right up off the ground and carry it hundreds of miles. Okay, and that's what a dust storm is. A dust storm just really strong wind that comes through, and it just carries all that dust all over the place. And then last and not least, we've got hurricanes. We've had quite a few hurricanes in the last couple weeks, and this is just a storm with a violent wind, in particular a tropical cyclone in the Caribbean. Hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons are all the same thing. Okay, we call them hurricanes. The Japanese call them typhoons, and the Australians and the South Americans call them cyclones. It just depends on where you are in the world. All right, but they're all the same thing. Hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons, they're all the same thing. All right. Now, these can get hundreds of miles wide, right? Potentially even thousands of miles wide, depending on the size of the hurricane, right? I think Hurricane Katrina was close to getting I think Hurricane Katrina was definitely at least like 500 miles wide. I mean, just a huge hurricane. And basically just what happens is these are massive, massive storms that form over the ocean. Well, unlike land, the ocean doesn't have mountains and trees and just different land features to kind of force the air to do different things. It's flat, and so these things just build and build and build, and the humidity just continues to feed these storms because they're sitting over the ocean, right? The advantage with thunderstorms over land is that land isn't super humid. Okay, continents aren't super humid, but the ocean, obviously, with all the water, is extremely humid, and so these storms just build in intensity and just become just massive forms of destruction. So that is what a hurricane is, okay? And that is an outlook on just the different extreme weathers that we're going to kind of go over in this unit. But again, make sure that you understand the difference between weather and climate.